Aye. Minutes carried. Sheriff Abernathy, you'll have to wait. All right, we'll start with you, Mr. Junkin. Yes, sir.
Both these were tabled from 60 days ago. This one's in Alberta, over there off of Virginia Drive behind the water tower. They have made some significant improvements. They've removed several of the mobile home units. They like two more.
Two more, all but two?
Yes, sir. That we cited them for. There's one in there that's occupied. We're letting them get an opportunity to get them out. Once they're vacant, then they're going to.
It's just lovely.
Take you a couple of days to pick all that trash up.
Yes, sir. We kind of scolded them about the trash in there. They're supposed to be getting a dumpster in there to get everything picked up, and all the loose and blowing trash is supposed to be contained.
Yeah. It was tabled. So what are you recommending today?
Oh, we need to give them about 60 more days because they're doing this manually. You know,
They're taking it apart? Or?
Yes, sir. They're disassembling the trailers and hauling everything away. Salvaging what they can and scrapping the rest.
Great. All right.
We'd like to give these folks another 60 days, let them get, hopefully they'll get it done, then we move on to Wiley Drive from there.
Okay. All right, thank you, Barry.
All right, the next one is 809 34th Avenue. She hadn't made very much improvements on the outside. She has come a long ways on the inside. The last time y'all seen this, it just had 4 joists in it. Mm-hmm. Now she's got subflooring down and walls framed.
Let me ask you this question out there. Have you? I've noticed that we've continued to extend it. Have you seen more progress by giving the shorter time frame?
It really depends on the person. You know, if they have the means, they're able to move faster. You know, we give the folks that are trying to work and get the money built up a little bit more time to give them, so it's not putting so much pressure on them.
She's done a lot. So
Miss Boney has done a lot since she's taken possession.
So with 90 days, you think 90 days would be good for her?
At least 60 to 90 is whatever y'all's preference at that point.
Let's give her 90 days.
All right,
Okay. All right.
and that's all we have.
Okay. Any other questions for Barry? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Zach. It's not Zach.
It's me today. So we just have one thing from planning, and it is the conditional use application from Druid City Social, DC Social. The applicants have said that they do want to table the item to give them time to speak with individual council members about their plan. But I do have a brief presentation if y'all want to see it. If not, then it'll just be presented to you at that point.
Would y'all like to see it today or wait?
I've spoke to them, so I will table it and we can see that presentation next time. Okay.
How long are we gonna table it?
For 1 week.
Does that give y'all enough time to get with who you need to?
1 week?
Do you want to, or, well,
1 or 2.
yeah, let's just do it.
2 weeks. Okay. We can give them 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Tony. There you are.
Good afternoon, Council and Mayor. We got 5 applicants tonight. The first one is Black Warrior Burgers LLC, DBA Grandstand at 2209 4th Street. It's going into the old Will Hagen's. They're applying for a restaurant retail liquor license.
So is that inside it?
It's the Will Hagen's location.
Okay.
Yes.
Change ownership?
Will Hagen's was next to the last owner. It was a different ownership before this one.
So the
The
guy
burger
that had
people?
the guy that had the Wild Kingdom.
Yeah.
kind of-
Yeah.
Burgers moved
Yeah,
over
he
there.
moved out.
Yes.
Wynn's office is upstairs.
Yeah. I thought they had it.
Yeah, I know, I wouldn't.
It's upstairs.
Okay.
All right.
They didn't have enough going on, huh? They got out of town.
I don't know if he needs so much ox. I don't know if he needs so much ox.
Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo.
So this is a change in
Now,
ownership?
this is a different owner.
Different.
So this is a change in ownership?
No, that's totally different name,
They
totally
went
different
out, the other
person.
one went out, but-
Different LLC. So,
I guess that's what he's saying.
Can I speak on this?
Yes.
Okay.
This is coming under gastropub. Y'all, it's no secret how I feel gastropubs. This occupancy for fire is over 300, is that correct? 300. Most of our problems have been from mega bars. You're packing 300 and something into this. If you get an owner that doesn't run it the right way, we're looking at the same thing that we're dealing with on the strip. The smaller bars work much better than the larger bars. So I'm going to once again speak out against the gastropub. I understand that it's been Will Hagen's and a lot of different things, but you're packing another 300 people in a large area down on Timerson Square. So I know for a while there were some where bars are limited to 100, is that correct? In that area?
On University and Greensboro, but not here.
Right, but I mean, you're looking at, it's over 300 people. You get a wild,
What would a restaurant license give them numbers on? Anybody know?
Can I just want to clarify, what they're here tonight for is their ABC, their restaurant license. Their conditional use to operate as a gastropub will be before council next week.
Do we have any idea though, Scott, how many people, if they had a restaurant license, how many people do they have in there?
That wouldn't change their occupancy. 375 is what, 375 is their occupancy for this setup as a restaurant.
can that be tabled to where it goes to the, at the same time, the restaurant and the other thing? So it could be a full discussion rather than giving the restaurant and then the gastropub second? I mean,
Makes sense to me if we can do
that's,
it.
So let me ask this question. What is the license called where they can go straight to the state? Is that the, what is that license
That's their
called?
ABC.
Okay.
I'll let you steer this. Sorry.
so
Okay.
technically, we don't have a gastropub license, that's a zoning
Yeah.
condition.
Okay.
In order to change
Say
it,
that again.
we don't have a gastropub license, that's a zoning conditioning. So in order to change, it would have to go to Montgomery. Montgomery would change it not just for the city of Tuscaloosa, but for the entire state. So that's why that works.
So why do they come to us then for gastropub?
The legislature had to change it, right?
Councilman Wilson, so the way this works
Yeah,
is
help me
that
out.
the state has, and we have to give alcohol licenses that mirror the state license.
Okay.
And so they're kind of the relevant options for a situation like this are either a restaurant license, which is what Chuck's, what any restaurant that wanted to have a bar would have, or a lounge license. A lounge license has different rules than a restaurant license, and would typically somebody with a lounge license would fall into our bar tavern section of zoning. You would a lot of places don't want to get a lounge license. Let's look at somebody like Innisfree that operates as a restaurant. We go there and have a great meet and three for lunch. I've taken my family there. After hours, they're popular with college kids. If Innisfree had a lounge license, by state law, they would not be able to allow anyone under the age of 19 in.
Gotcha.
And so that's a lot of the reason why people want to go to the restaurant. Now, the gastropub, what it does, let's say for instance that council granted them their restaurant retail liquor license that they're asking for, but denied the special condition that they operate as a gastropub. At that point, they would have to operate solely under our definitions for a restaurant under the zoning code.
Gotcha.
Wouldn't be able to morph into a bar, pull tables, charge a cover,
Gotcha.
serve alcohol once the kitchen was closed. Those sorts of things would then become a zoning violation.
See, understanding is the best thing in the world.
What's their number now? I'm sorry.
Well, 375.
375 is the occupancy, that's with the tables and chairs.
Okay, it's always been there.
Yes, but their occupancy could expand if they at some point merge or transform during the night into a bar and they were to open it up similar to what we've seen in other places. Mr. Chairman, I would want to echo the comments of our police chief. the amount of density that we're bringing into areas like the Strip and downtown is a public safety issue more than just the number of people. It's the amount of officers we are having to assign into these areas. We're 30+ officers short. 10% of our force is short and depleted. We are asking so many of our officers to work so much overtime. And the more density that we provide, it's going to be the Tuscaloosa Police Department that's going to have to provide the protection for it. And I'm very concerned, not only from a financial sustainability, but just from a human resource sustainability of being able to meet that need. I have great respect for the applicant, great respect. But my responsibility is to provide our chief and his officers the support. I do worry about this and others, and I would have the same feeling if it were on the Strip as it is in the downtown area. And I would ask that the council put that as part of its consideration when looking at this.
It's something you said, and I've said this before, but Chief, it bothers me when these officers have so much overtime, because at some point, you don't make good decisions.
You're tired.
And
And then we're putting a lot of resources on the Strip right now, on
Right.
Thursday, Friday, Saturdays. I mean, a lot of resources.
people
Four
are
star
working a
county.
lot of hours.
And the thing that just scares me about this is, like I said, the last owners, no, we had no issues with.
Yeah.
And the new owners, I'm not saying we're going to, but I've seen what can happen, and once it does that, you know, if it turns into a hot spot, you just don't know what's gonna happen. And the smaller bars that have the smaller occupancies, we don't have issues with, because you're not gonna wait in line forever. When you know they're full, you're gonna do that. But the large occupancy gets packed and packed and packed, and those are the ones we traditionally have problems with. So.
It's probably harder to tell if there are too many people in there when they have that big a number.
But Brandy, can the chief's request to put them both together, can we do that?
We can table it.
Table that and then to next week and do them both
Because
together?
the hearing for the gastropub's already set for next week.
That makes sense to me. Is that all right with everybody? To do it all together?
I don't have a problem with that. I just got two quick questions.
Go ahead.
How do we manage these facilities such as the community around us is growing, knowing that we don't have the manpower? How do we manage this, but yet say we want growth? What do we do?
It sounds like we can't manage that if we have 500 people in there.
Right.
I don't think it's manageable.
I think you just have to take it at this point, case by case.
So then the follow-up to that is, seeing that we lack law enforcement personnel, will we keep this type of compact like you're talking about, Chief, to be cognizant that we don't want anything to get out of hand? Will we keep that until we get the number of officers that we feel are able to manage this? Well, I mean, what's your
If
vision?
you're looking at my opinion, it's purely my opinion. The mega bars are 300 and up. They don't. I don't think that's the ideal situation. I think
Gotcha.
smaller bars that are more manageable are the way to go. Obviously, that is y'all's choice. You know, not mine. I'm just giving my professional input on it.
Right.
But when you mix alcohol, lots of people
Yeah.
in a big space that you cram together, the outcome is never good. You know, and like I said, I was young once. I'm old now, but you know, I like to go out and that kind of stuff. But you know, speaking just at that, these larger buildings like that, they get more and more occupancy, and it increases the chance of something to happen. Go ahead, man.
I do want to share with you a dynamic that we're facing, and it's with the newer generation. When
Right.
I was elected a long time ago, officers wanted overtime.
Gotcha.
They sought the overtime.
True.
Today, it is being used against us that TPD has a lot of overtime. If you come work for TPD,
You gotta work with it.
you're gonna have to work 8 ball games a year, you're gonna have to work 3 graduations, you're gonna have to work basketball games. Now you're gonna have strip and downtown details. And our competitors in Northport and the county and surrounding areas use that against us. And we know if something happens downtown, then we will react in the same way we're reacting now on the strip, and that is to inundate it with a number of officers.
Well, we just made the national news. So,
I'm saying from a resource standpoint, financially, you will spend hundreds of thousands of more dollars, and you're gonna drain or continue to drain the officers who are putting in a lot of hours, and it continues to hurt us. Y'all have taken, to your immense credit, from the pay plan now to RSA.
Right.
This council has stepped up. This is kind of the third thing we have to figure out how to address moving forward, is how do we find more leave, not leave time, but how do we reduce the amount of overtime our people are being asked to do as compared to the agencies, the law enforcement agencies around us?
They used to want overtime, they also used to want to work on the strip.
By the way, UAPD is actually facing a very similar challenge to we are, because now their officers are being asked, and so, you know, we're the two agencies now that are dealing with competitors who are using the fact of all these overtime hours against us.
And just to kind of put what the mayor said in context, we work out there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday right now. Thursdays, I can normally get people to volunteer for that. Fridays and Saturdays, between both days, we're making about 20 to 25 officers work that do not want to work. It's mandatory. It's not a suggestion. They have to do it. They have no choice. They're offering money out of their own pocket for somebody else to work their shift. So I just want to kind of put that in context. While, you know, most people are home asleep or do what they want to do, these officers on their off days are being made to work, and they're not getting those off days. So it's a lot of resources.
Chief knows, but unless you've done it, you can't understand the stress they're going through after about 12 and 15 hours. And these drunks come up and try to push their buttons sometime. And it's a terrible situation for these guys, especially if they don't want to be there in the first place. Like you say, I used to beg for it, but we fight over the overtime almost, but it's a different world. And it's harder overtime too. We didn't have these problems.
Thank y'all for listening to my suggestion.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody else have anything to say about that? Okay, Tony?
Okay, all right.
Got 4 more?
I got 4 more. All right, the next one is the Sigma Phi Epsilon Parents Weekend, presented by Starner Enterprises. It's a special events retail less than 7 days, located at 304 University Boulevard. It's gonna be on February 24th, 2023. My next application will be for Downtown Entertainment LLC for Alumni Weekend, February 25th, 2023, 976 University Boulevard at the Phi Gamma Delta House. The third one application will be for Downtown Entertainment LLC, Pig Dinner, March 5th, again at 976 University Boulevard for Phi Gamma Delta.
Pig dinner?
Big dinner. And then the last one I have is by Downtown Entertainment LLC, ATO Parents Weekend on April 1st at 322 University Boulevard at the Alpha Tau Mega House. And those are all the applications I have tonight.
Any questions for Mr. Mills? Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. Mayor Maddox?
I think I've said enough on the policing issues. I'll give you back some time. I know we will be requesting an executive session on 2 matters.
Very good. All right, any other department comments? Okay. Mr. Holmes?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
I'll let UD and Revenue handle the bulk of this agenda today, so I think I'll be fairly brief. I will start at the bottom of page 2 on your table of contents, where on page 18, you'll be authorizing a professional services contract with Cassidy Company. This is a not to exceed $50,000. It came from projects on last week. On page 19, you'll be authorizing execution of an agreement with AT&T to design the conversion of overhead AT&T utility lines to underground for the University Boulevard East Improvements Project. This is not to exceed $14,000 and was in projects last week. On page 20, you'll be authorizing a contract with Trillium Pumps USA and declaring a bid law exemption pursuant to Alabama Code 41-1651B7. That is a total of $17,970. This is, I believe, a budgeted purchase that comes from water and sewer. You guys are simply required to step in to do to certify the bid law exception. I believe is what's in front of you. I don't see Kimberly in here. On page 21, you'll be authorizing the chief of police to execute an MOU between the Tuscaloosa Police Department and the U.S. Marshals Task Force. We discussed that in public safety. On page 22, you'll be authorizing the Office of City Attorney to request Attorney General's opinion regarding Alabama Act 2022-133. We discussed that last week in public safety. And on page 23, you'll be amending code sections 21-56A and B of the code. This is regarding the tow fees that are adjusted annually for a COLA, and that will be doubled up to discuss on Finance Committee today. Are there any questions for me?
Questions for Scott?
No, sir.
Thank you.
I did wanna put, you said we got projects, finance, insurance, litigation, and then the council meeting at 6. You are being asked to be here at 5:45 to have our group picture made with the school board.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask them how much they're gonna pay me. Is that 5:45 in the council chambers? Okay, because
Mr. Tyler, I don't know if I will be here, but I guess I have an event leading right up to 6 o'clock. I hope I will do everything I can to be back before 5:40.
we can take the picture of you, like hold it over on our shoulders like you're there.
We probably don't need me.
They'll probably crop you in on the end or something.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I can put you anywhere.
That would actually work at that same height.
You want to keep your approval rating high.
And two things too, we've had, the numbers last year from the police department were really great. That was good to see all the decreases and, especially UBEs because they've been just sometimes seems impossible, but they were down. But I've seen a uptick on those in my area. And so Chief, I want to thank you for all you're doing to help out there and just remind everybody at home, lock your doors. Lock your car doors.
Yeah.
Chances are what they're doing is just going down the road and just lifting up handles, and if they open, they get in them. If they don't, they usually go on to the next vehicle.
And don't leave your laptop in the car.
Or your gun.
Or your gun, especially your gun.
Okay. All right, is there a motion that we go into executive session?
Second.
Okay, Scott?
Yes, sir. As your city attorney and attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Alabama, I can certify that this executive session is to discuss with their attorney the legal ramifications of legal options for pending litigation, controversies not yet being litigated but imminently likely to be litigated or imminently likely to be litigated if the governmental body pursues a proposed course of action, and to discuss preliminary negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce in which the governmental body is in competition with private individuals or entities or other governmental bodies in Alabama and other states and foreign nations, that the discussions would have a detrimental effect upon the competitive position of a party to the negotiations.
Okay, I have a motion second. All in favor for executive session, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?